Good evening. Welcome to the ShadowTrader Video Weekly for Sunday, June 10th, 2018. Title of this video is Market Not Backing Off, with the picture of those mud flaps that were kind of ubiquitous a long time ago. I guess maybe they still are in certain parts of the country, but you notice those mud flaps with the Yosemite Sam with the two guns and all that. It always says back off on the bottom. I always like being behind 18-wheelers that would have that on the mud flaps when I was little. I remember I used to enjoy that. But anyway, the market is definitely not backing off, and there's a number of factors here that are playing into this sort of not backing off. It's one thing, I believe, to just kind of look at one chart and make a bold statement or some sort of prediction and say, well, this is how things are. But it's another thing, I think, to delve a little bit deeper and find a confluence, so to speak, of multiple dynamics that are supporting your argument. And that's what I strive to do here in the videos, is not just look at just the S&P and say, well, this is what I think, or whatever. It's try to find those nuances that really tie everything in. So without further ado, let's get into some of those nuances. One of the things that I was noticing this week was that there was an attempt by the Dow to breach the 61.8 resistance, and it actually kind of topped out right at it. I believe if I have my diamonds chart up here, it's a little bit clearer. You can see on the diamonds, I think I drew this a little bit tighter, but notice that Thursday's action literally went right to the 61.8 retracement and then backed off. So that would be a short-term bearish signal, but signals can be negated the next day. And notice what happened the next day. Opened lower and actually swung up and closed where? Right at that level. So what do you think is the path of least resistance for the Dow now? Is up. So this is one factor that I think is very important, is the fact that the Dow key major average, for all intents and purposes, looks like it was going to fall apart right at the 61.8 and did not. It's really setting up a little bit, to move a little bit higher. The other thing that I wanted to point out is there was some very interesting sector rotation this week, and I'm just going to pull up some of these bank stocks and financials and whatever, and it really just came out of nowhere, where out of these bearish patterns, like look at BAC and look at C, also had this sort of thing. And a lot of people, sometimes in the IBD world of Can Slim and all that, they call this follow-through day, right, where you have a big green candle and everything kind of moves up from there, and you're kind of safe below that candle from there on in. If you look at XLF, it's the same thing. It was really a trend line break in the ETF. In the ETF that covers a lot of these financials, and notice where it occurred, right on the top side of a trend line, and then boom, right? So I found that interesting, and the reason I'm pointing that out is that this is an example of sector rotation where these financials had been relatively weak compared to what's going on in tech, and all of a sudden they kind of woke up. And this sort of passing, and I remember specifically on that day that the NASDAQ actually was not as strong as the S&P, and it was the first day in a while that I noticed that. This sort of passing of the baton, even if it only lasts for a couple days here and there, is very, very healthy for the market. It just shows that money is rotating from one sector to another, and if it's going out of tech, the whole market isn't just falling. Maybe some of it's going into these more boring sectors and whatever. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Third thing I'm noticing that I think is pointing to the market that is not backing off is, notice here in our market profile how many times, and I purposely put on all the sessions here, meaning the overnights. The smaller letters here are the overnight sessions, and the capital letters with the yellow value areas are the regular trading hour sessions. And I just wanted to point out how important this 2782 is in the futures. This is, of course, the ESU contract. So remember, they go HMUZ, and we switched over to the U contract last week. And we now have 3 sessions, 4 if you count the few minutes that it traded after Friday afternoon in that little shortened period. You have 4 sessions now that have traded resistance right at that same level. And again, market not backing off. Notice where value is here in relation to this day, which was kind of a breakout day, which, by the way, was poor structure. I do acknowledge that. This is poor structure, so carry it forward. Notice the single prints here and anomalies. It's kind of a flat edge here, so there's some forcing action. This is not really good structure. Poor low here, poor high, understood. But yet, what happens the next 2 sessions? Where is value? Value is much higher, and it's holding. So you don't see value down here at all. You see value up in here, which I think is relatively bullish in it, right? So a little bit overlapping top. And again, this is the key level here. So watch that 2782, 83 level. That's in the futures, by the way, on this particular trading week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And it looks like the market wants to break through that area. Okay, that being said, what are some ideas that I can hit you with for next week? Let's keep it short and sweet here. This stock here is called FANG, Diamondback Energy. And if you look on a longer term chart here on the weekly, just looks like a big reversal close to this support level. I think that this stock has wild swings, wilder than what oil does, but I just have this funny feeling that crude is going to surprise everybody back to the upside and go back above the trend line. Notice that it lost the ascending trend line, but in doing so, notice that it didn't make a red candle to the downside. It actually made a reversal bar. So if there's going to be a reversal here in crude, and we're going to see oil trading somewhere back up into this area, into here, close to 70 a barrel, you'll probably see a move in that FANG. PANW, IBD 50. Look at this ugly bar on the weekly, but look where it puts it on the daily. This is the first test of the 50-period moving average in a while, just under the whole number 200 at the 197. The last time we were at the 50 was at the end of January. And last but not least, check out this airline index. This is XAL, long protracted down move into this 104 area. I'm going to flip this over to a weekly for a moment. And look at this support area. I like a long downtrend into a support area. Feels to me like it's going to turn there. I know there's a little bit of space here. Could go lower, but it is a reversal bar on the daily. And you would look at the usual suspects here, such as DAL, UAL, etc. I personally like LUV because it looks a lot like this chart. I kind of like when the chart itself looks like the index. And notice that there is a support point here at the nice round number of 50 in Lima Uniform Victor. So that could be due for a turn to the upside. All right, last but not least, on the new ShadowTrader website, just to clear up any confusion from people who are wondering where the value areas and pivots are and all that stuff. They haven't gone away. Mouse over to the Stocks tab and just choose the Swing Trader newsletter. This is actually where they've always been. This is the newsletter that Dan O'Sheehy edits and writes every day for us, and it is pretty amazing. He's going to be coming to you with some stuff before the end of the month on this. And if you just scroll down, you do have to register if you're not logged in. So you can just register there, log in, and if you once there, your Swing Trader newsletter will be here in your dashboard. And once you're in the newsletter, just scroll down to the looking ahead area if you're looking for your value area and pivots, and they are, of course, right here on www.mytrade.com. This also exists inside your Thinkorswim platform under the Tools tab. In MyTrade, that newsletter exists where it always has. Here in Technical Traders, the only difference is here in the Swing Trader section, we are no longer posting a separate post just for value areas and pivots. We're just posting the newsletter, and this is because now we can finally put the newsletter in its full HTML glory. But this page works like any other website, meaning that what you see here in the body is just here on the left-hand side. You just click here, and notice that when you click on the left, the body changes. So just if there are trades in here from later in the day, you just scroll down to the latest newsletter, and there it is. And this link actually takes you right back to our site, to that Swing Trader newsletter. So if you want to save a little bit of time, maybe just go to shadowtrader.net and just do it directly there. All right, on behalf of myself and the entire ShadowTrader team here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as always, I wish you good trading and good night.